Can all do it? Can everyone train? Yes, they can. Perhaps not everyone will train like you or like me, but we can all train, at least to the level where we're at. Perhaps at this point, we can start training and reach small goals. As we build more muscle and become more fit and toned, then we can push to more difficult or more, I would say, more intense training. So start out slow. Don't hurt yourself. At least don't hurt yourself. And then you'll stop. You won't be able to do anything. So start out slow and build your goals as you go. And then you'll be able to do more and more until you reach that point where you are satisfied with yourself and you can balance out. El Treno es bien por todas personas. No todas personas es bien para treno intenso fuerte. Otra persona que es suave, otra persona que es duro el treno, pero toda persona es muy bien para el treno. How far should we push ourselves? Well, push yourself until you can't go anymore. That's my motto. Continue until there's no energy left, until you can't go anymore. You push to that level. The idea, if you can push yourself to the extreme, then the muscle will respond. The next time you'll have a new extreme and you can push yourself to that level, and eventually you'll find that you surpass the older extreme level. However, learning to push ourselves to that level is a lot more mental sometimes than physical, but it is possible. We need to be determined and continue going if we're going to push ourselves to that level. Cuando personas hacen el treno, es muy bien persona pensando, treno es no necesito suave. Es bien cuando es suave, pero mucho tiempo es duro, mucho tiempo. Cuando tú es temprano, el treno, tú es bien, tu muscular es pequeña, es no duro. Entonces necesito más tiempo. Para tu muscular es duro, para tu treno es más duro en más tiempo. Pero continuar en tu treno. En poco tiempo más, tu muscular es grande en tu treno es muy bien. There is a word, elusive, as if something we cannot gain or something we try to get and can't get. Sometimes it seems that our training results are that way, elusive. Things just keep happening to seem to get in the way of our reaching our goals or what we have in mind as to where we want to be in our training. And it seems like our goals are elusive. We never get to reach that plateau that we've set and we shoot for, we want to reach. There is a saying, you aim for the stars. You may not hit it, but you know what? You get the idea. And so it is with our training. Take the example of a friend of mine. She trains 5 days a week, and sometimes twice a day. And constantly she complains about a particular thing or a particular goal she's trying to reach. However, consistently on the streets, people are amazed at what she looked like. She'll come home and say, someone just said, wow, your arms look great. Wow, your back look amazing. Wow, your legs look amazing. So it is true that sometimes the pinnacle or the goal that we have set, we may not reach. But rest assured, if your training is intense as you have set it, you are reaching many goals. And for those, you should be happy. One of the other things is, a long time ago I read about sports, an athlete, that each time they win, for example, they'll win a tournament or something like that, they celebrate, and they celebrate hard. And it was mentioned that sometimes this celebration or patting ourselves on the back is good to encourage us to continue. So that being said, if you do have big goals and you find them to be quite elusive, or you just don't seem to be reaching them, make sure you celebrate the small goals. Celebrate where you are. Celebrate where you have reached. That could be the motivation to keep you pumping out and continuing to reach those elusive goals that seem to be running away from you. But rest assured, though, that the fact that you are pushing and trying to reach those high goals, that's what has helped you to look the way you do and have reached the current goals where you're at. So do not stop with your elusive goal that you have set and you're trying to reach. Cuando personas es en el treno, es mucho tiempo tu sueño corpa muy bien. Pero cuando tú estás en treno es muy difícil para corpa muy bien. Pero es no problema. Continúa tu el treno. Continúa sueño corpa muy bien. Entonces tu treno es más duro. And to continuar tu el treno. How important is viewpoint when training? Someone said there's nothing neither good nor bad but thinking that makes it so. You've probably heard it. And what does it mean? Well, there are people that do not train and they're happy. There are people that do train and they're happy. There are people that are fat and they're happy. And there are people that are not fat and they're happy. We can be happy despite our circumstance and despite where we are and despite what's going on. This attitude, when you apply it to training, let's say you have a good day of training. Good day could mean many different things to different people. Perhaps you went to the gym and there was no one there. You had all the machines that you needed. That, perhaps to you, was a good day of training. Perhaps you had a bad day of training. You went and there was no machines, just one. And you got irritated. And that to you was a bad day of training. Well, I had a day when there were so many people in the gym that it forced me to train differently. And I told my friend today, it was interesting that although I trained differently, I found it was interesting because there were things that I did that I wouldn't normally have done, or the training was quite different. And I found it to be beneficial. So sometimes our outlook and our training can make a big difference. We may have to change our training because of a different reason, or maybe our training is not the way it usually is, but having the right attitude can make a big difference. So it's the same for time. Now, let's say you've been training for a short period of time or a long period of time. Some people can say, wow, I just started training, so you know what, I'm no good, I'm not as good as the other person. Or some people can say, it's great that I started training, I've been thinking about it for a long time and I'm glad I'm in the gym. Or it's the same thing, you could be training for a long time. Perhaps you haven't seen the results that you need to find. I've always said to my friend that the good thing I like about him is that he's consistent over the years in training. That's one thing. No matter who it is, even the great bodybuilders who have trained, consistency is very important. So if you can clamp down on consistency, then you can get anywhere. So it may be that you've been training for a long time and you haven't seen the results that you want. Thank yourself for being consistent. You've gotten that one thing down. Now, perhaps you can build a routine or change your routine to become more effective. And that's okay. That's a goal you could set. But our outlook when it comes to training can make all the difference. All the difference in our enjoying the training, all the difference in our training becoming more successful, and all the difference in our continuing to train. So maintain a good outlook, or change the outlook if it's not good, and enjoy the training. Es muy importante cuando tú estás en el treno, no solo piensa tu musculoso o tu físico. Es necesito tu recuerdas, más importante tu piensa correcto cuando tú estás en el treno. Muchos días te voy al treno, entonces muy bien, muy feliz. Bueno, otros días tú eres no muy bien, eres no feliz, es okay. Solo voy al treno, y es muy bien. Es importante para el treno. No necesito feliz cuando es el treno, o no feliz. Solo es el treno, es muy bien para tu cuerpo, es muy bien para tu vida. Entonces tú piensas, el treno es más importante. Cuando tú terminó, ok, voy a discoteca, voy a comida, voy a tu esposa, voy a tu familia. Entonces tú feliz, Cuando tú eres el entreno es importante. What do we put forth to train? Sometimes we wonder if it's worth it. And the result we gain, the high quality of life that we're allowed to live by taking care of ourselves, is the answer. Sometimes it's a lonely road, a difficult road, a challenging road, and those questions will come up. So simply look at your results. Where would you be if you were not training consistently? How you feel about moving around as you're able to take care of your health and enjoy the life that you've been given. And if you're thankful for these things, realize that you're training and has a great deal to do with these very things. Mucho tiempo personas piensan, el entreno es difícil, es necesario, no encanta. Pero cuando tú miras tu cuerpo, es muy bien, tu vida es muy bien, que tú eres no gordo o no enfermo, entonces tú piensas, sí, el trainer is training for young people. Sometimes people say so many things about training that it can get a bit annoying. Well, training is designed for many purposes. Perhaps we want to build muscle, perhaps we want to tone, perhaps we want to lose weight. It depends on what our goal is. And it is neither for one group of people. Training is for everyone. Everyone can train. Of course, they may not train at the same level, and they may not train with the same goal in mind. Simply figure out what your goal is and set your mind and your body to train. Do not listen to all the naysayers about age-related training. You do what you need to do to reach your goal, and that's what it's about. Muchas personas piensan el entreno es solo para joven persona, pero es no verdad. El entreno es para toda persona, joven, más años, pequeña. El entreno es para toda persona. Solo tú piensas, quiero, tú encanta. Tu encanta musculoso, tu encanta poco gordo, tu encanta solo ejercicio para tu vida. Cuando tú piensas porque te encanta, entonces te voy al entreno. Pero es para toda persona, no solo para joven persona. It is what it is. That's a saying we use to describe things that we can't possibly change, or things that's just that way in life. And the truth is, training is what it is. It is difficult, it is hard, it is an uphill battle, it is all the things we think it is for which we don't want to do it, and it is what it is. However, just like anything difficult or anything that we have to struggle at, the results are great. We feel great. When we train, we release hormones, we sweat, we come back feeling refreshed and tired, but we feel good that we have trained. Aside from the fact that we've reached our goal and we've trained for the day and we don't feel guilty, then that is a healthy guilty. I'm not suggesting that we should go to the point of being hysterical. If we didn't make it for today, we just didn't make it. We make it the other day. I don't go too crazy on my training. I try to be consistent and I try to train, but I'm not going to go too crazy and drive myself too crazy and feel frantic if I haven't trained. If I haven't trained, I relax. Okay, I'll hit it the next day. And that's the attitude that I kind of keep when it comes to training. But no matter how you do, how you look at it, how you feel, happy or not happy, training is what it is. It is all those things and more, sometimes even frustrating. But that's what training is. But we train, and we're happy to read a book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And I think a lot about training, and I really think that there's an art to training. What is the art of training? Similar to the art of war, there are certain tips, techniques, tricks that keeps some people training that make it elusive for other people. And to begin with, I would say the art of training, like anything else, know where you're going. Know where you want to go. Let's say you're overweight and your goal is to lose weight. Excellent. Now you have a direction, you know where you want to go. The reason for this is because it will affect your training style. It will affect what you do. And if you don't know or don't have an idea of why you're going to train, you may pick a training that may not be beneficial or may not take you where you should go because you don't know where you want to go. So knowing where you want to go is important. If we delve a little bit deeper into this, let's say the guy's overweight and he wants to train and he makes it clear, I want to train because I want to lose weight. Now his workout may revolve around cardio, walking fast until he can run, and running, much more cardio, and then of course toning with some weightlifting. Whereas someone else who has no problem with weight, he wants to build muscle. He may not need to be doing as much cardio to burn because he doesn't have the fat to burn. So there you can see, just knowing where we're going affects or will change drastically what we do in our training. The second part of the art of training is be ready to train. As in Sun Tzu, if you want to go to war, one of the things he did was, in the beginning of the book, it talked about the general who had a problem with all his wives. So Sun Tzu goes in and said, okay, I can fix this. They took nothing seriously. So Sun Tzu gave them a message. They didn't take it seriously. So he called the most favorite wife and he gave her the message again. She didn't take it seriously. He killed her, and then all the wives took everything seriously. So the other thing with training is also similar. Be ready to train. Just like Sun Tzu was saying to the leader, your people must be ready to go to war. They can't take this frivolously, laughingly. They need to be serious. And the same thing, be ready to train. If you figured out where you need to go, what you're trying to do, then you know what comes next. You're going to get a routine. You're going to get a schedule. Be ready to train. If you're not ready to train, it's not going to go anywhere. If you're ready to train, then you get your butt down, sit down, stick to that schedule, and do what you want to do. Because at first, any schedule is difficult. Anything new is difficult. So if you're not mentally ready, like those wives in Sun Tzu's illustration, ready to follow that instruction, you've already failed. So yes, there is art to training. It starts by knowing where you want to go and then being ready to train. And of course, just as in Sun Tzu with the art of war, they went to war after they received the instruction that Sun Tzu provided. Particular instruction based on who they're fighting and how they should attack these people. Then they went to war. We too. The following step to the art of training would be quite simple. Take the instruction from your trainer as to what and how you need to do and how often you need to do that, then follow through. Go to war, go to train, and reach your goal. So yes, training does have an art to it. Know where you're going, be serious about training, receive the instruction, and go to war or go to train. Cuando personas piensa o encanta el treno, es necesito tu piensa inteligente. El treno es no solo en el gimnasio, necesito es inteligente. Primero, piensa por qué tú estás en treno. Entonces, dos, cuando tú entiendo por qué tú estás en treno, mismo tú estás en gordo, necesito flaca, ok. En dos, necesito tú es preparando para el treno mental. Tú es preparando para el treno. Es no suave, el treno un día, no. Tú es mental preparando para el treno. Es serioso. Y en tres, instruction, informaciones para el treno. Gimnasio, corriendo, es necesito instructional para el treno. En cuatro, voy el treno. Cuando tú entiendo instructional para el treno. Today we have training rain. It's so hot that it's beginning to rain. It's going to be a nice training session running in the rain, getting all soaked, as long as there's no thunder. But it's what we do, right? We train. Rain, we train. Sun, we train. Shine, we train. Winter, spring, summer, we train. It's just what we do. Ahora es lluvia en el treno, pero es normal para personas en el treno. Lluvia, el treno, no lluvia, frío, calor, el treno. Es muy bien cuando en el treno. When should it end? That is our training. Perhaps you've trained for a few years and you're wondering, when should my training end? And a lot depends on the type of training. If you were training for an event, the event had passed, of course, you don't have to train anymore. However, if you're training for life, your heart, your health, your body, well, that never ends. It may adjust and change according to our physical strength, what we're able to do at the time, but that never ends. Similarly, if you have a routine, training routine, some people train for an hour, some people train for 2 hours, and there are people who train for 3 or 4 hours. When should it end? I never tell anyone when their training should end or when their training routine should end. I leave it up to them. Perhaps they have a particular goal that they need to reach, and they have the stamina to push for it. Go for it. If it's an hour that they can do, well done. If it's 2 hours, well done. If you're able to train for 4 hours and continue, hey, even better. I really am not good at the 4-hour thing. I can do a good 2 hours. After that, I feel exhausted, and I have to take a break. That's when my training ends. When your training ends, that's kind of up to you. So if you're training for life, it will never end. Your training routine, it depends on you when that ends. Cuando tú terminó tu entreno? Es difícil, piensa. Cuando tú terminó es por tu corazón o tu vida, tu cuerpo. Tu entreno es para toda tu vida. Pero cuando tú entrenas para competiciones, es septiembre, competiciones cerca. Entonces, cuando competiciones terminó, tu entreno terminó. Pero cuando tu entreno es para tu cuerpo o tu corazón, entonces tu entreno es para tu vida, toda tu vida. Y es mismo cuando tú estás en gimnasio. Persona piensa, ¿cuánto tiempo es bien por gimnasio? Es difícil, pero una persona es diferente, otra persona es diferente. Una persona tiene mucho ejercicio, 1 hora, bueno, 2 horas, bueno, 3 horas, bueno, 4, bueno, eso es persona, es el problema. Para mí, 2 horas es bien, para otra persona es diferente. So, cuando tú terminó, no seguro, toda persona, decisiones. Es mismo cuando tú estás entrenando para tu vida, para tu corazón. Tu entreno es para tu vida, toda tu vida. Why do you train? That is a difficult question to answer. Primarily because everybody trains for a different reason. It is true, when you enter the gym, everyone is in the gym. And they may all be lifting weights, except for those doing cardio. However, it doesn't mean that because they're all lifting weights that their goal or their direction is the same. Their routine could be very different and their goals could be very different. Only you can answer the reason for training. No one can for you. I mean, we can suggest if someone is overweight, always tired, prone to sickness, and probably on the edge of diabetes, we as trainers can suggest perhaps you should train and lose some weight, and it may help with your health and also give you a better way of life. And the person must decide if they wish to train for that reason, for better health and to become less sick and void of diabetes. But in the end, it's our decision and our reason that pushes us to train. We as trainers can only suggest. It is the same when someone stops training. Perhaps their original desire or the reason for which they were training in the beginning, they've lost it or it ended or things change in their life. And now they have reasons to do other things or less reason to train. For example, let's say someone was training 25, they went to the gym building muscle, they'd like competition, and they'd like the look of muscle. Now they're 28, 29, they got married, they have one child, and their main focus is raising their family. Perhaps muscle is not the main thing anymore. Now their driving force is their child. To them, what good is muscle to a young child and a wife? The main thing now is making money to feed the family. So their goals and their thinking and their drive may have shifted, and something more elevated is there than the original desire to train. So they may not train anymore. Of course, years later, they may go back to training with a different drive, a different desire. Perhaps now they're a bit older, 38. They're concerned about the weight they have gained, their heart, and their health. Now they have a different reason to train. And that driving force to live, probably coupled with taking care of their family and being around to see their son grow up, moved them to enter back into the gym and train. So as you can see, although we all end up in the gym for the most part, we're there for different reasons. Only we can answer why we train. And as long as that driving force is strong enough, we'll continue to train. However, when that driving force becomes less than another force, as in the case of the young man who got married and have a child, then that force will take precedence and our training will become second place. Cuando personas encanta el treno, es necesito a persona piensa, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué tú encanta el treno? ¿Por qué? ¿Tú encanta el treno para musculoso? ¿Tú encanta el treno para tú es enfermo? O cuando tú entiendes por qué es importante, because en la vida es más cosas. Tu vida es importante. Enfermo es no bien. Entonces, cuando tú haces el treno, es muy bien. Tú no es enfermo, tu cuerpo es bien, es muy importante. Pero muchas personas tienen familia. En familia es más importante. Entonces, personas necesitan pensando, ¿es el treno es importante? ¿Familia es importante? Entonces, diferente persona, el trainer por other reasons. Una persona el trainer para el cuerpo, otra persona el trainer para no más gordo, otra persona el trainer para la vida es más bien. Pero necesito tú entiendas por qué tú es el trainer. You were born for this. You ever heard that saying? How do we get our training to the point where we get the feeling that this is us, this is what we're born for, this is what we live for? I think one of the things that can help us is continuity and regularity. The more we do something, the more we feel like it's a part of us. It's some sort of an attachment. It's what we just have to do. And if we take our training to that level, where we're consistent, consistency does not necessarily mean 7 o'clock every day. Of course, that does help if we have some sort of a schedule that keeps us on track, like a job. 7 o'clock, we need to be there. And that does help the training a lot. However, if you're consistent in that you know you have a daily routine to train, even if it's not 7 o'clock, then that consistency will put it inside you and make it a part of you. And when you don't train, you'll feel like something is missing. like what happened today? So that consistency will make it a part of you. And in time, you'll feel like you were born to do this. Like you cannot not do it. And that's where it comes from. When that becomes so important to you, so normal to you, that you just can't see yourself not doing it, then you feel like it's a part of you. Cuando tú es en el treno, es muy bien tu treno, no solo un día, pero no necesita todo el día, but continuar tu el treno. Un día, okay, otro día, okay, and then otro día el treno, necesita tú es normal en el treno. Cuando tú es normal en el treno y tú no treno, entonces tú piensas, es diferente. Y es muy bien cuando tú piensas es diferente, entonces tú es voy al treno. Cuando tú eres solo entreno un día, no más. Entonces cuando tú no entrenas, tu cuerpo no recuerda, no necesario. Pero cuando tú eres entreno es normal, entonces es muy bien para ti, es muy bien para tu cuerpo. Cuando tú no entrenas, entonces tú recuerdas, es no bien. Eso es importante.
You're watching LukeLoveCat.com. Yeah.